Welcome to another edition of the Dragon Method School of the Regista. Again, it's another Thursday, so we're focusing on the leadership details that we think are important. And not even so much leadership details, but characteristics of special players and players that want to be the best that they can be and also want to be on the best teams that they can be. And the ones that are willing to put in the work to improve their team. Today, we're going to focus on one of the most important concepts, I think, for a player to understand, and something I certainly talk about with all of my teams a lot. And it's called being the star of your role. And then also to hype up your teammates and hype up their role in the team as well. So let's start with this and ask yourself this: have you ever said one of these things? Okay, and obviously you don't have to use the names in here, but have you said this? Coach doesn't get it. I deserve to be a starter. I'm playing out of position. I'm worried about John playing at the 6. Yeah, I'd be worried about that too. I'm much better than Camilo. It's not fair that he plays more than I do. Right? Have you ever said some version of this or have heard a teammate say something like this? It happens all the time. And certainly on all the teams that I played on, there's a lot of times we had teammates that would say this, friends that would say this about their coaches. Just kind of grumbling about what their place in the team is at that given moment. Okay, so think about if you've ever been in that position. And a couple little sayings here. We want you to not be a detractor, right? So don't be a detractor. And a detractor is somebody who takes away from the team. Okay, so those statements I said above, that's just by saying those things, you're taking away confidence from the team, taking away energy from the team. And instead of being a detractor, be the star of your role. Okay. And again, just don't be a detractor. Look, we've all been in situations, we're all upset when we end up on the bench or when the coach plays our teammate in our favorite position instead of us. You have to get over this as quickly as possible, though, because when it comes to match time, the bottom line always is it isn't about you. It's about the team. The objective is to get the most out of the team. And the only way you can do that is to accept your role in that moment and be the star of it. Okay? And again, be the star of your role. What does it mean? Being the star of your role means the best at that particular role. Okay? But coach, how do I be the best at sitting on the bench? It's easy, actually. Be the most supportive on the bench. Give your teammates reminders, right? Repeat what your coach says loudly. Clap and be animated. And just generally be enthusiastic about the team, right? You can do that from the bench, okay? You can be the best supporting player that's not on the field, okay? Oops. Just like we say a quiet field is a loser's field, right? If you go back to the shape, how to shape your training, we said that when we're talking about spirit, a quiet field is a loser's field. A quiet bench is a loser's bench. If you've ever been to a game before, you can see the difference between a team where everybody on the bench is standing up and cheering for any little thing that happens compared to a bench of players who are just sitting, maybe not even paying attention to a game. Right? I see it all the time in high school. I see it all the time in club. We want to be the team that people are going crazy on the sidelines. They're supporting each other. Okay, they're not jealous that somebody else is in the game instead of them. They understand what the role is at that moment in time, and they're willing to do everything they can to get the most out of the team and not take away. Okay. Also, this little bit about worrying about your teammates, whether you don't think somebody's strong enough to be in a position, You're jealous of somebody playing as a forward, and maybe you're playing in defense and you want to be playing forward. Any energy spent worrying or criticizing teammates takes away from the team, okay? So any of this, right, worried about John playing as the holding center midfielder, I'm better than Camilo, whatever, any of that stuff takes away from the team. And we've already demonstrated that the only stuff we should be communicating to our teammates are reminders and compliments anyway, right? Think last week we talked about the 6-to-1 ratio. We want all of our energy going into building up our teammates, hyping up our teammates, giving them compliments, giving them reminders, right? And we talked about this, not easy, right? It takes all of our energy to do that stuff. So any negative energy, any second guesses about a player in a position, or worrying about anything other than what you can control is detracting from the team. Okay. If you know Bill Belichick from the New England Patriots, right, he is famous for saying, do your job. So be the best left back on the field if you're the left back. Be the best center midfield on the field. Be the best at supporting your teammates with reminders and compliments. If you strive to be the best at all the things you can control, just think of how much that will impact your team's performance, right? If you are focusing all of your energy into being a great teammate, into being the best in your position, then you're contributing a lot, right? And I'll just end this little section with this little saying: don't contaminate, right? Don't make it worse for your team. Contribute to your team, no matter what your role is. So you might be sitting there now and you might be thinking, okay, but is he saying that I should be happy about being a bench player? Like, should I be content about being a bench player? No, definitely not. But you must accept it. If you're in that position right now, you must accept it because it's not about you. And if you can't accept your current role, then you will never be able to move on to the role that you want. On match day, accept your role and be the star of it. Every day in practice, then train for the role you want. Okay, that's why practice is so important. That's why training is so important, and that's why I spend so much time on the shape section, because I really want to emphasize the role that you want in the team. You got to show it in training. So if you want to be a 90-minute player, right, somebody who never gets taken off the field on a championship team that goes on to win a championship, train and prepare like a 90-minute player on a championship team every single day in training. It's as simple as that. And just to emphasize this, some personal stories from my soccer career, because like every soccer player, I've had a lot of highs, but I've also had a lot of lows. And you have to understand that where you are right now is not indicative of where you're going to end up if you work hard at it. So like, I went to high school at Montpelier High School. My freshman year, I didn't make the varsity team. I wasn't happy about it, but I committed myself to train like a varsity player every day. And our JV team ended up being undefeated my freshman year. I went on to make varsity my sophomore year, and my senior year, I ended up being the Capital Division Player of the Year, first team All-State for the Burlington Free Press, Player of the Year in the Times Argus, and I ended up earning a Division I soccer scholarship. Okay, so going from a JV player to being one of the few players in Vermont to go and play on a Division I soccer scholarship. And then when I got to college, right, it everything restarts, right? That's life, right? Like, you get to the highest point of one level, then you go to the next level and you start at the lowest point. And when I got to college in New York City, I didn't start one match my freshman year at Manhattan College. And I didn't hang my head and feel bad about that. Of course, I wanted to start every game, but I committed myself to becoming the best substitute our team had, right? So I shifted my thinking. I said, all right, if I'm not going to start the match, I need to make myself prepared as possible so that when I get subbed into the match, I make a real difference. I make a real impact in the match. And that's what I did. I ended up playing every match my freshman year, always coming off the bench, okay? And then my sophomore year, I started every match, and I started every match for the rest of my career and ended up captaining the team in my senior year. Okay. I knew that the only way I could get the role I wanted in the team was to work for that role and convince my coach and teammates that I should be in that role. Okay. Prepare for the role that you want and work for the role that you want in training every single day. But guess what? Okay. And again, this goes back to the first bullet point. If you act like you are too good for the role you currently have, right? If you're sulking and you're trash talking your teammates and you're trash talking the coach and you're acting like you're too good for the role you currently have, guess what? Your coach and teammates will never be convinced that you should have a bigger role. You know, this person, this guy or girl, they're acting like they're too big for this team, right? Why do we even want them in a position where they think that they could earn it? They're putting us down. They don't believe in the team, right? If you're acting like you're bigger and better than anybody else on the team, nobody wants to buy into that, right? And you're just going to continue to be in a role that is something that you don't want. So make sure that you're focusing on accepting the role that you have now, but prepare every day for the role that you want and continue working for that. And the last thing I just want to leave you with here, again, we're talking about we want to get the best out of the team. If you can accept the role that you have and try to be the star of that role, you also want to encourage your teammates to do the same thing. And so what we do for this, we say, let's put the spotlight on your teammates, okay? Put the spotlights on your teammates. Get the most out of your team by making your teammates feel good about their role too. Use their name, crucially, right? Remember the night communication. When you use somebody's name, it's putting a spotlight on them. That's what I mean by putting the spotlight on your teammate, right? So we can say something like, hey, Ryan, I really appreciated hearing you cheer for me from the bench. It made a really big difference to me, right? If you put the spotlight on the teammate who is fulfilling their role, right, who's being the star of their role, again, it's going to reinforce that in them, okay? They're going to buy into that, and it makes the team better, right? They're contributing, not contaminating the team, right? Same thing. Hey, Jessica, I love how hard you are working on the training pitch. Keep it up. Your time is coming, right? So if you see a player that's working hard in training, continue to motivate them to get to where they want to be, right? Take the leadership role in your team. Be the one that's building up your teammates, that is hyping up your teammates, okay? Sometimes the coach, maybe they're not doing they're not able to get to every single player every training session to build them up, but you can be the one, you can be the leader in your team as another player to really build it up, right? Because we as soccer players, right, we respect what our peers are saying, especially if they are the ones that are not acting like they're too big for the role that they're in, not acting like they're better than anybody else. They're not trash talking anybody else, right? They're buying into what the team wants to do. They're trying to make the team better. And if that person then says, hey, you're doing a great job at what you're doing, keep working hard, that's going to motivate me to work hard. All right. If you take a growth mindset with everything, right? A growth mindset, and communicate that to your teammates as well. If you can do this, you're going to see that your team can really turn into something special. And even more than that, if your team is a team that maybe isn't the most talented or the biggest or the fastest or the strongest, you can get so much out of a group of players that buy into one thing. If they buy into the team first, if they buy into building up the team, contributed to the team, then you can go on and you can beat teams that might be more talented or bigger than faster than you. Because again, going back to the shape, you're training more efficiently, right? You're training harder, and everybody on your team accepts what their role is, okay? Soccer is a game of 11 players coming together to try to do one thing, all right? It takes all 11 players to buy into the vision, okay? Now, a team that is a bunch of individuals, yes, they'll win some games, because they might have some talented players on them. But as soon as they play a team that's better than them, man for man or woman for woman, right, they're going to lose. So if we want to be a team or a club of teams that consistently produces great performances because we work together as teams, it's really something special. But first, you have to accept your role, okay, your current role, and be the star of it. And then in training, work for the role that you want. Work for the role that you think you deserve, and you'll get there, okay? But you got to be the one that puts in the work.